up without any input really from us, or just a little bit of guidance from us.
Okay.
And what we're really chuffed with today is they've taken that on board and put it into practice today, and really didn't deserve. We've lost that game 3-2. We say the result doesn't matter, but we're actually a bit disappointed because we think they at least deserved a draw today, if not to win it.
Okay. What about you must impressed with the players you brought over. Does this provide a bit of a selection dilemma when it comes to the forthcoming match? Because the players that have performed well over the weekend, but also not forgetting the last weekend against West Didsbury.
Yeah, well, and I think you've seen a lot of the players who played against West Didsbury were involved again today, and it's a very, very young team. You look at the likes of Andy Crennell at 20, Lee Gale, who's been around the squad for a long time, 21, Matty Woods, 23, Louis Thornton, 23, Chris Cannell, 23, Carl Clark, 23. It's a very young, but they're very inexperienced, but they've done ever so well. And on top of that, the veterans have come in and do their usual very competent job. They've learnt a lot about their game as well this weekend, which is very, very important. And you've seen big step-ups in performance from them today. We tried Sean in a different position today, and he was absolutely fantastic. We tried Pecker and Kieran McNulty in a slightly different position, and he was fantastic and scored a very, very, very good goal. I think I'm chuffed to bits with everyone. I'm really impressed with the way that they've taken on board everything we learnt from yesterday, about the intensity of our play, about the decision making we have to make when we play against these teams, and then for them to go and put it into practice today and do so well. Yes, we still made a few mistakes, and it cost us goals, and that's a big difference to perhaps back home where they can afford to make mistakes because the opposition isn't always as strong. Here they'll punish you, and that's what's happened today. But as far as the interleague's concerned, that's going to be a big step up because this is a much higher standard than the interleague. And it's also great preparation for the triangular in October in Ireland, where the standard will be very similar to that.
Now, you mentioned about young players there too as well. Is this a long-term project you've got in Salford? We're talking about these young players, Carl Clark, Andrew Crennell, all very young players.
Absolutely, Paul. It has to be. The lads that have been with the core of the squad, they're still not in their 30s, but they're edging towards it, but they're still obviously top-notch players. We need to be giving people that experience behind them. So when and you can see that Sam Kane's another who's come in, and Sam was absolutely fantastic, probably our best player in the first half, and I was so delighted for him to come on and do so well. And it keeps those older players on their toes because they know the younger ones are coming through and are playing ever so well. So for me, that's fantastic. Because it's keeping. We've had 28 players involved in the last 2 weekends, and they've all contributed in a positive way. So it probably gives me a headache, but it's a good headache, and it just shows you on the Isle of Man we have got some very good players who can adapt to playing at a higher level. Now
you've mentioned about that you've been like quite. You don't mind saying in your comfort zone as you maybe had friendlies, but this next match, your interleague match against Cumberland, will this be a big step up learning curve in your managerial career and also the players too as well?
In preparation for that?
Preparation, yes. In
preparation, definitely, and Paul and I have learnt a lot. Maybe not so much Paul because he's actually played at a much higher level than this as well. So, but I've learned an awful lot from it as well as the players. One
thing we've got to say, when I ran up memory before on my card was about, I was going to actually just go back to the first question about how beneficial it was this weekend again. So you don't mind me asking that question again for you. So how beneficial was it overall?
Well, it's absolutely vital because we've come over here to be tested, and we certainly have been tested, especially yesterday. And the lads will have learnt so much from what happened yesterday, and as I've said, they put it into practice today, and we were probably unlucky as far as the result was concerned. But how vital is that going to be for the interleague, where the standard probably isn't quite at this level? So unbelievably beneficial. Really, really glad we've done it, and I'm chuffed with the outcomes of it, to be honest with you. Even though the results are disappointing, at the great scheme of things, these don't matter. I'm sure they matter to other people, but they don't matter to us as a group.
And yourself as being a manager, how have you found the step up from being a coach to a manager? I mean, you've probably been quite lucky because you've been under, let's say, being a coach of Kevin Manning and also Gareth Jones, probably two of the greats within the Manx game. How has that given you a good
you learn off good people, don't you? And I'm also extremely fortunate that I've got two very, very top-level coaches in Ben Qualtrough and Paul Jones, who are absolutely wealth of knowledge of the game, fantastic in the way that they communicate that to the players. The players buy into it, and that's so important, because if the players believe in what you're doing, and I think you'll have seen certainly over the weekend, Paul, they do. Today they've showed it. They believe in it. They see it, and that's a lot of that is down to I can set the philosophy. That's the way I want us to play. Everybody else has to buy into it, and I've got two great communicators who get that message over to the players.
Talk about two coaches too as well. You've got Ben, who's probably one of the younger aspiring coaches on the island. I think he's got to bring some wealth of knowledge, but also more recently you've got included Paul Jones. Who spoke very, very highly of the praise and the input that they've brought into the team too as well. Is it great to have bounce ideas off them?
Well, that's great. Some of the conversations we have are absolutely fantastic, and we have great debates because we don't always agree. But that's healthy. You don't need to fall out about it just because you have a difference of opinion. I suppose the big difference for me is I'm the decision maker. The buck stops with me. It's my philosophy about how we play. It's my decisions about who plays. But I always consult, and we like to involve the players. We've got a lot of onus on the players and in what they think as well. Because at the end of the day, on the pitch, they're the ones that have to make the decisions, and they can't rely on us to guide them through games. Football's a dynamic game. The picture changes every time. Players have to react to that themselves. And that's one brilliant thing I can say about our players, that they're all extremely bright. They're showing a good understanding of the game. And if you think where we are in this process now, we've only played 5 games since I've taken over. And I'm just thinking, where could we be now in another 12 months? And that's quite exciting, really, to be honest with you. And that's what we've got to look at. It's going forward, the longer term. And I'm pretty excited about the whole thing, to be honest with you.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Steve.
Cheers, pal.